Super duper doo, how are you? How are you when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're stressed, when you're too hot, when you're too cold, when you've had a tough day, when your clothes don't fit, when you're broke, when you're having challenges? Who are you and how are you? And really interesting questions, because have you met people who are awesome when everything's going great? But if they're hungry or if they're tired or if they're stressed or if they're cold or if they're hot, they become different creatures. And it's a really interesting question and a very personal one. Is it possible that our real personality comes out or our real character comes out when we are under stress, when we are under pressure, when things aren't going great, when we're tired, when we're cold, when we're injured? And I'm sure you've heard lots of people say this: oh, look, I'm really sorry I spoke to you that way. I was tired, or I was stressed, or it was a tough time for me, or I was going through something. And I think that's it's a very personal question. But if we're only a nice person when things are going great, what does that really say about our character? It's been suggested to me quite strongly by neuroscientists in particular, the brain experts, that we're either a nice person all of the time, or we're not a nice person who can be nice when things are going great. But when things aren't going great, that's when our real character comes out. Now, I know it's very confrontational, it's very tough to ask that question. But if you're a nice person when everything's going great, isn't that easy? And I always use the example, if you ask somebody, how are you? And they're on the beach, they're on holidays, they're about to have a beautiful meal, or they're drinking their favourite beverage and they're with their favourite person and they're having a fabulous time, and you say, how are you? And they say, I'm awesome. Of course, you're supposed to be awesome in that situation. I do have a bit of a giggle though, because sometimes you ask people in that situation and they're still grumpy, and I'm not sure that there's any hope for those people. But if, and I'll rephrase again, if you meet somebody who is really going through a tough time, and you might only find out that they've been through a tough time, or they are going through a tough time after your experience with them. So they're happy, they're positive, they're optimistic, and they've got a sense of humour, that they're just a normal, happy person, and you find out later that they were going through something really tough. I'm very respectful of those people. I'm very privileged. I'm married to a gorgeous man who is exactly that. Doesn't matter if he's injured, if he's tired, if he's got financial challenges, if he's sick, if he's got major stresses going on in his life, he's always exactly the same. What you see is what you get, and what you get is a positive, happy person. I, of course, would be very disrespectful to our relationship, to my relationship with my gorgeous husband, if I wasn't the same. And there's a really interesting question, are you moody? And I have a lot of people complain to me that they have people in their life who are moody. They don't know what to expect. And isn't that really challenging when you think somebody's a certain way, but you're not sure? So you hope that today they're going to be a happy, positive person, but you've seen them as a grumpy, horrible person, or as an angry person, or as someone that gets aggressive, and you hope that they're not that. And a lot of people share with me in their personal relationships that when they go home at night, they don't know what to expect, because sometimes their partner's really lovely and sometimes their partner's not so lovely. Well, I'm just challenging us all. I can't change what other people do, but you and I, we get to choose what kind of person we're going to be, and we get to choose the kind of person we're going to be when we're hungry, when we're tired, when we're sick, when we're injured, when we're jet lagged, when we've got challenges, when we're broke, all the things that make most people miserable, angry, or aggressive. Could we choose to be positive? Could we choose to be strong in that situation? And there's a strategy for that. It's a very simple strategy. Could we be thankful for everything that happens? Because most people get angry when they're injured, or they get angry when they're tired, or they get angry when they're broke, because life's not going the way they want it to. But life's going to happen to all of us, and stuff's going to happen. Shit's going to happen. It just does. But what if we decide that doesn't matter what happens, some things we can't control, but we have complete and full control over how we handle what happens, how we react or respond. And particularly if you're a parent or a teacher or a coach, or you're in a position of leadership, is it possible that when there is stress happening, when there is a big challenge, when people are tired or stressed, or all of the things that make people grumpy and angry, what if that's not you? What if you're the person that doesn't matter what's happening, you can just be a happy, positive person all of the time? And the way to handle that, of course, is number one, be thankful for everything that happens. So every time something yucky happens to me, and I live a life in a world where shit happens all the time. But every time something like that happens, my immediate response is, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from it? How can I get better from it? So if I'm injured, if I'm sick, if something happens, if I break something, it's always about how can I learn and grow from this so it doesn't happen again. A lot of people share with me, because I ask, silly me, I don't ask people how they are anymore. I've learnt that lesson. But sometimes I'll say, super duper doo, how are you? I'm sure you are amazing, hoping for a positive answer. And sometimes I don't get a positive answer. Sometimes people share with me exactly what's going on in their life, and they give me a big long list of horrible things. And my initial response is always exactly the same. You can't change that it happened to you, but what did you learn from it so it doesn't happen again? How can you grow from it and become wiser so that if it does happen again, you can handle it better? That's the initial response to everything. And then the second part is, how can I laugh about this? And I'll use an example. If you watch Funniest Home Videos, or you watch any of those shows where terrible things happen to humans, they fall off things, break things, crash into things, and they're usually comedy shows, and we laugh. And the people that it happened to, when it happened to them, I'm sure they didn't laugh. It hurt, and some of those things look really painful. But I'm sure that when they watch them back a month later or 6 months later, or when their injury is healed and they watch what happens, I'm sure that they laugh. And that's the strategy that I always use. If I break something, hurt myself, fall over, make a fool of myself, any of those things, I always say to myself, this would look hilarious on Funniest Home Videos, and I laugh. Now, the time frame between it hurts to when I'm laughing can be really short, or it can be really long, but there will come a time, if you've fallen over or crashed or done something stupid, there will come a time when that will be funny, because you'll actually think about it and go, wow, I remember that time I did that, and how funny was it? Well, my goal is to always shorten up the time frame to make it funny straight away. So if I trip over, if I make a fool of myself, if I make a mistake, if I do something stupid, what can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? How can I become better, stronger and wiser because of it? And how quickly can I laugh? And whether it's an injury or an accident or just a stupid thing that I did, and we all do stupid stuff, that's the thing, isn't it? And usually when we do something stupid, we get angry, or we get depressed, or we snap, or just stay away from her because something terrible's happened and she's really angry, versus she's the person, or he's the person that when something bad happens, they laugh. They joke about it, they recover from it quickly, and they learn and grow and get better and wiser because of it. So it's a simple strategy. I'm hoping that you can apply it to your life, because it certainly helped me become a positive, happy person every single day, regardless of what happens. And we all have stuff happen. Shit happens to everybody. Terrible stuff happens, whether it's a sickness or an injury, or a Mother Nature does something terrible. Life will always throw horrible things at us. If we're the person that can't handle that, obviously that we can't be in a leadership role. Being a parent, a teacher, or a coach, and you can't handle tough stuff, I don't think we have an option. We don't know how strong we are until strong is the only option. And I think as a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a leader, our only option is to be strong. So how do we get strong? We have to put ourselves under pressure, or when pressure is put on us, we have to handle it. And if we handle it and we become stronger, better, tougher, wiser, then next time it happens, it either won't happen again because we've learnt from our mistake, Or if it does happen again, we can handle it better because we've learnt and grown. And I think it's just a simple process, but it's also a choice. Now, the second one, the choice to laugh, that's called having a great sense of humour and having the ability to laugh at yourself, having the ability to laugh at a situation. And more importantly, I think for a leader is to turn a tough situation into some form of humour. If you can make the people around you laugh, so if everybody else is stressing and carrying on crazy and angry and depressed and miserable and snapping and grumpy, and you're the person that can make people laugh, the beautiful thing is when you laugh, there's a brain change. Then last but not least, if you're tired, if you're stressed, if you're grumpy, if you're miserable, and I'll rephrase that because I'll make it very personal. Do I ever feel angry? Yes. Do I ever feel grumpy? Yes. Do I ever feel tired? Yes. Am I ever under stress? Yes. But my very first response, and I'll share it again, how can I learn and grow from this? How can I laugh as quickly as possible? And then I go get puffed. Because when you get puffed, when you lift heavy or a combination of both at 100% effort, that's when your brain chemistry changes. And I share this, I think, every day now. When you put your body under 100% stress, whether it's produced from you by exercise, by getting puffed, lifting heavy, or the world throws stress at you, your body automatically goes into fight and flight. So your body produces epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol so that you can flight, run away, or you can fight. Now, the interesting thing is when you're a boss, you're a leader, you're a parent, you're a coach, you're a teacher, I don't think we have an option to flight. We can't run away, particularly if we've got people relying on us, because that would mean we have to pick up all the people and run with them, and you can't sprint when you're carrying a large number of people. So there comes a time where we can't flight, we actually have to fight. But our body produces everything that we need to fight, because the epinephrine, adrenaline are the neurotransmitters that produce high blood pressure, high blood sugar levels, high blood fat levels, high heart rate, so that we can fight. And when you've fought and you've overcome the challenge, and that's a beautiful thing. If you say to yourself, how can I become stronger, tougher, wiser because of this? You go puff, lift heavy, change your brain chemistry. So you not only produce the stress produces epinephrine and adrenaline, you produce more by puffing, lifting heavy. Now we have a brain chemistry change because you've overcome a challenge. Now you might not have overcome the initial stress first, but if you get really puffed and then you get your breath back, you've put yourself into that situation where your body says, congratulations, you got really puffed and you ran away or you fought. So now we're going to produce dopamine reward drugs, serotonin satisfaction neurotransmitters they are. The endorphins are the happy drugs that are also painkillers to help us overcome the challenge, take the pain away. And then brain-derived neurotropic factor is the fertilizer for your brain to make sure that your brain is better and stronger and wiser for next time. So now I've got a brain that's got neurogenesis, which is new brain cells, neuroplasticity, which means I'm thinking differently, which means I can now overcome the challenge. So if I'm angry, if I'm depressed, if I'm miserable, if something's gone wrong in my life, the very first thing is, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from it? How can I laugh? And then I go punch the bag, skip, do push-ups, do jump squats, do something to get my heart rate to 100% maximum effort. I lift something heavy to get my muscles and bones to 100% maximum effort. And then I have a brain that can think clearly and overcome the challenge. And I always use this as a reputation. Are you a positive, optimistic solution finder? So positive, yes, I'm happy. I can sort this. I'm not going to look at the negative. I'm going to look at the positive. Optimistic is, yes, it can be done. It can be fixed. And then solution finder is find the solution and fix it. And that all happens when you've got a brain that is full of the neurotransmitters that allow you to do that. Stress doesn't allow you to do that. When your body's under stress, you can't think clearly, because when you're under stress and you need to be fighting and flighting, everything shuts down except your ability to run or fight. So you have to get rid of that stress first before your brain changes. So you've got to get puffed, got to lift heavy, do a combination of both, and then you can overcome everything, anything. So I do that at the start of the day, and I'm just going to share this very personally because I know that everyday life's going to throw something at me. So I start my day with fresh air, sunshine, and getting puffed. I get up, go outside and breathe in the fresh air, enjoy the sunrise, get sun on my face, and then I go flat out. That's the very next thing I do, is go absolutely flat out until I'm so puffed I can't breathe. Now I've got a brain that's ready to take on the day, and I do that every 15 minutes for 10 seconds throughout the entire day. And that means my brain and my body are always ready to handle stress. And it also means that when stress is thrown at me, when I'm tired, when I could be angry, when I could be frustrated, when I could be annoyed, I can get rid of that really quickly. And or I'm preparing for it so that when it does, I love that. Because one of the things I say at the start of the day is I'm thankful for the fascinating experiences that help me grow. I used to call them the horrible people and experiences that help me grow, but now I just call them fascinating people and experiences that help me grow. And I say thank you for them. I'm thankful for them at the start of the day, so that when they arrive, and they always do, there's always going to be crappy stuff that happens and crappy people that come into your life and try and wreck your day. But I'm ready for them, because at the start of the day I got puffed. Throughout the day I keep getting puffed, and at the start of the day I say thank you for the fascinating people and experiences that will help me grow today. So is there a strategy for being a happy, positive person all the time? Of course. Decide that you're going to be. Whether you're tired or stressed or hungry, or your clothes don't fit, or you haven't got any money, how can you fix any of that if you've got a brain that's under stress and not working effectively? So get puffed, lift heavy, change your brain chemistry, and then you've got a brain that can overcome everything. It's a simple process, but here's what's not simple. You actually have to choose to do that. And why is it that so many people choose to be miserable and grumpy? I don't have an answer for that. I can't decide what other people do. I can't change what other people do. But what I am sharing with you very passionately and very positively, optimistically, and it is a solution. Whatever happens to you, could you be thankful for it? Could you learn and grow from it and get stronger because of it? Can you get puffed for 10 seconds? Doing whatever it is that you like best to get puffed, and it doesn't matter what it is, because your heart and lungs are blind, and then your hormonal system and your central nervous system is on fire, your brain chemistry changes, and then you can overcome anything.